Hey everyone. Well, that's the deck I'm playing currently, but let's go to this. So, it's been a while since I've played. It's right after Christmas break. It's the 5th. This is the deck I was planning to play today. It's just like a very stock mono block list. But as I was like I've been in Missouri for the past 2 weeks, visiting family for Christmas. So I had just dropped off the face of the internet, hadn't played any. And apparently people started playing this, where is it, Black White Devotion deck? Which I haven't played, I just saw earlier today, where they just trade out some of some Read the Bones and some mediocre cards for Elspeths and God's Willings, which actually looks kind of sweet. So I want to try this deck. It's basically the same shell as Mono Black, but I think Elspeths and God's Willings are an interesting thing that I want to try. It seems to be doing better than the regular Mono Black decks. So basically, let's move these white cards to the side because they're the exceptions. But the Mono Black deck, which is what I'm going to the Black Devotion deck, I guess we can call it, is basically a Gray Merchant deck. Everyone knows what Gray Merchant does at this point. But it's this kind of slow control deck with some creature elements. Like you put out your Baleful Eidolons, your Death Touch creature, and your Agent of Fates, which also has Death Touch for some reason. And that's like your main creature. That's like your anti-creature package to get rid of all the nonsense that Red Green will throw at you. And to power up your Agent of Fates, you also play these Night Howlers, which are mainly used to enchant Agent of Fates. Night Howler, for those of you who don't know, is like a Mortivore with Bestow. It doesn't regenerate though, unlike Mortivore. So you just bestow it on your agent to trigger the Edict effect, and when it falls off, it becomes like a fine creature in its own right. It's generally not that good, but sometimes it just does get there. And that's pretty much the main package of the deck. These small creatures and the Gray Merchants, and everything else is built to support this. Like it's a very slow deck. It builds up to where you want to play with Gray Merchants every turn, like Gray Merchants and Whip. So you have Thought Seizes and removal spells to just get you to the late game. Read the Bones helps you look for all these cards that you need. And let me sort back for mana cost because I lost where I was. Oh, there's a one Disciple in this deck just for like a 5th Thoughtseize. The creature itself is pretty bad. Like I played 2 or 3 in the old Mono Black deck, but paying 4 mana for 1/3 is really, really bad in this format because there's just like not that much you want to take. So you just slowly kind of cut them down. But it's still useful as like a 5th Thoughtseize. I can also take lands randomly if it's a so it can't miss. And then we have Erebos and Whip. Mostly just like large late game cards. The lifelink on the Whip of Erebos is probably one of the biggest upsides of this deck. It's one of the few decks that can just gain tons of life to try and out-sustain its opposition. And Erebos helps that out by removing it. Like if you have an Erebos and the opposing mono black deck does not, their Whip only has the revive ability, so you'll always win the mono black. Well, not always because it's Magic, but you'll generally win any mono black matchup where you have Erebos and they don't, and they like have a Whip or something, because the life gain off Gray Merchant and Whip lets you stay in the game longer, so you can continue to hit yourself with Read the Bones and draw creatures like Baleful Eidolon late game. And then to close out the game, the old decks played like 2 or 3 of these Abhorrent Overlords. Abhorrent Overlord. It's just a like insanely tough card to deal with in this format. There are no real wrath effects. So you play Abhorrent Overlord and the game's pretty much over unless they're already like crushing you. Because it makes a ton of flyers. But additions to the deck I haven't tried yet are God's Willings and Elspeth. God's Willing just seems like a sweet card. Like it's a good combat trick, and it works with Agent of Fates really well. It gets like 2 of their creatures with Agent of Fates, one that you block and the one they have to sack. Though generally, I guess it would only get like 1 creature, because they would just sack the one you blocked. So it's still pretty good. You can make them sack a creature, then block and get their other creature. That's what I was thinking of. And the Elspeths give you more of a late game, I suppose, because the old black deck like pretty much needed to have a Whip for a late game and Great Merchant, but you couldn't play that many whips because they were legendary and they don't interact very well with each other. Like the second whip is pretty much useless. But the second Elspeth always has a use because it's a planeswalker. Planeswalkers die pretty frequently by getting attacked or just like heroes downfalled. So by putting Elspeth in this deck, I haven't played this version, but it seems very good. Like you get to pump out soldier tokens to kill them, to either block, be defensive, or just eventually kill them with. But the main thing is its wrath. It's like one of the only wraths in the format. It kills all creatures with power 4 or greater, and obviously the red-green deck I think I played last time is very huge in this format. So you can imagine that killing all large monsters is very beneficial in a format full of large monsters. So playing Elspeth seems like a very good addition to this deck, and I'm excited to try it out in a couple minutes here. And this isn't my list. As I said, I haven't really played this deck any. I just wanted to try it out since I've been playing mono black for a while now, and black white seemed like a better alternative. And the sideboard looks very strange to me. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to board yet. For the record, I'm playing 7 white sources, 4 temples, and 3 plains. As well as Nykthos can also produce white mana if I have an Elspeth in play, though it's not really relevant since if I have an Elspeth in play, I would have already had white mana. The sideboard looks really weird. It's got Ray of Dissolutions for the mirror, I guess. Anything where you need to kill like artifacts or enchantments. It doesn't kill Erebos, but it will kill Whip and Night Howler, as well as Baleful Eidolon. And it also is like fine against the blue-white deck that uses enchantments to jump its Fabled Hero. Varika's Cure against the aforementioned deck. Dark Betrayal for the mirror. I'm actually not sure what Ashiok is for, but I imagine it's fine against any green deck, because Ashiok's generally good against green decks, and I think it's also good against the mirror, because I know there are some mono black decks that just play this in the main deck. And here we are, starting up. I guess I can talk about the rest of the sideboard. I've got 2 Disciples for if I need more controlling aspects for discard, and Keepsake Gorgons against the red-green deck for Death Touch and more creature kill. There's not very much removal in this format. It's pretty much just like Dark Betrayal, Murder, and Keepsake Gorgon, as well as like Varika's Cure. But that's not really true removal. It's kind of like it kills small creatures, but this is a format full of big creatures, so Keepsake Gorgon is kind of what you have to play if you want to deal with big creatures. This hand doesn't have any of the cards I traditionally like to have in my opener, which would be like a Thoughtseize or Agent of Fates or something like that. Also has no way to fix its draws, but it's got like quite a few lands, and having Double Merchant is pretty good, so I'm gonna keep it. Actually, this keep seems really weak. Like, I could just draw nothing for a couple turns. I think I have to mulligan. This hand's much better. Even though I still can't play anything till turn 3. Like, Night Howler's a 0/0, so if he's playing Plains first, it's probably playing some sort of a heroic deck. They're both white-red and white-blue heroic decks. And they play pretty similarly. The white-red one's more weenie-based, and the white-blue one's like pretty much all in on making a Fabled Hero to have Aqueous form. I'm going to bottom this because I already have an Elspeth. I kind of want to draw lands for a couple turns. Drawing a Whip in this matchup is also very good. Ordeal. That kind of sucks, because if I play my Baleful Eidolon next turn, I can block his guy, but if he has another heroic thing, it'll prevent the damage from black sources, so it won't even get to do anything. Though, I guess the following turn I can kill it with Hero's Downfall. It kind of sucks, because I have to use 2 cards to deal with it. I should have played the Swamp there. I have to use 2 cards to deal with it, but gotta do what you gotta do. If he wants to use a God's Willing on this, though, I think I'd be pretty happy with that. Oh, I just traded for it. Okay, well, it's still not a good trade since he drew 2 cards off the Ordeal, but it's much better than I thought I was going to get. I pretty much want to save this for a hero. Night Howler is a 2/2 right now. That's not particularly good, but my other option is playing Read the Bones, which I think I actually need to cast so I can start drawing lands. God's Willing's not what I want. I could probably keep this Hero's Downfall. So next turn, I'm probably playing Hero's Downfall on whatever he enchants. The following turn, maybe play Nighthauler. So I don't really have a turn to play this Hero's Downfall. Though it lets me use my Hero's Downfall like on a random big creature and save this one for Heroes, Fabled Hero. Erebos is not very good in this matchup. It's pretty much like a blank. I think I want to keep this to power up my Nighthauler. Ugh, that's not a good draw. It's possible I should have just bottomed. I couldn't decide if I wanted to bottom this or not. I think bottoming it was probably better, so I could try to draw lands and Grey Merchants. But, ugh. Now I guess I'll just try to Aqueous, or try to murder his Phalanx Leader. Which sucks, because if he has a God's Willing, I like completely blown out and die. But I don't really want him to scry. And if I kill this, I'm still taking 4 damage. That's not that bad. Though if he would protect this card if I would murder it, so that I would still be taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and die to any spell. Die to the God's Willing. Or die to, any spell that would target this. So I think I'm actually just gonna try to downfall this and hope he doesn't have it. I think that's my only play. If I play the Nighthauler, it's a 2/2. I can block his soldier. Then take 4, 5, 6 maybe. But if I downfall this and he doesn't have it, I take 5. I'm pretty sure he has God's Willing. Like, the question is, can I play around it? So if he has God's Willing and I kill this, I just die. Period. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If he doesn't have God's Willing, it dies and I take 5. I'm still in a bad spot. He plays a creature or something, or an extra spell. I have to kill whatever I have to downfall whatever he doesn't do, and then I'm at like 2 or something by the Hoplite, and that's a pretty poor play. If I downfall this and he has God's Willing, I'm not in as bad a situation if he doesn't have a spell to pump this, but I'm still pretty not looking good here. So I think the best play is to kill this. So I play the Nighthauler, and he has a God's Willing for his Phalanx Leader. I have a block on this guy. It's a 4 power, but then he gets in for 6 and gets to scry. Or just an ordeal or anything. So maybe I think Hero's Downfalling this guy is the better play, the best play. And he didn't want to God's Willing it, or doesn't have it. I'm more inclined to believe he just didn't want to God's Willing it. What is this? 4 mana? Oh, okay. He's wait, what is he doing? So he's God's Willing his Phalanx Leader, and then responding to that with something else. He's playing a Eidolon. So this gives him 5, 6, almost lethal. Actually, it is like pretty much lethal since I can't draw anything that deals with either of those cards. Because I can murder this and he gets the Eidolon and the favorite Hoplite, either of which kill me. And if I just I can't think of if I draw a Grey Merchant, I gain 2 life and then can block this. Then he kills me with this. So I'm actually just dead here. I drew Apparent Overlord, which is very bad. Erebos is not good. I'm not actually sure how God's Willing is in this matchup. I'm inclined to believe it's poor. Freakus Cure goes in, so does Ray of Dissolution. Disciple is actually good for stripping God's Willings out of their hands, but I'm not sure. Here's the cards I'm thinking of. Taking out. I'm thinking of taking out Read the Bones, which is unlikely. God's Willing, Disciple. I don't want to take out Thoughtseizes because even though it doesn't hurt me, it prevents a lot of damage in the form of taking like whatever their best card is. God's Willing is good for blocking, sort of. I'm pretty much always going to trade with him, his creature, unless I have a Nighthauler, in which case God's Willing does nothing. God's Willing helps out my Agent of Fate. There's not a 4th Eidolon on the board, which is an oversight by my part. I would have added one if I'd noticed, because I think Baleful Eidolon is one of the strongest cards in this deck. So I think I'm taking out the God's Willings. They don't really do a whole lot. Keepsake Gorgon does kill creatures, but it costs like 50,000 mana, so it's probably not what I want. And I'm pretty sure I wanted to board in some Disciples. Ashiok's not good against this deck, because it'll mill some small creatures, and it just takes too much time to play them. Like, you don't get as much out of their small creatures as they would, because you don't really have anything to enchant. Like, you've got the Eidolons and Night Howlers, and that's pretty much it. Neither of which is like Aqueous Form or Deals. So you just have like much less impact overall than they do. I think that's all I want to do. Elspeths want to stay in because I want to kill them like somewhat quickly. It also kills a lot of their pumped creatures if they have like multiple out or just one. What would I like to play first? I would love to play first. If I draw another land, this hand's fine. 2 more lands, rather. And I've got a Scry land, so I feel pretty justified in keeping. I'm going to bottom this, because if I don't draw lands, I'm not going to win this game. Even though Freakus here is very good against this deck. Swamp was a good draw there. If he plays a 2-drop, I'm just going to cure it, because I want to play my Agent on turn 3. And then I have Hero's Downfall for turn 4. Battle-Wise Hoplight's one of the better ones. Whenever he targets it, he gets to Scry, and it gets a counter. Ray of Dissolution wasn't a bad draw. Drawing a land next turn would be ideal. If he that way, if he drops a creature, I can bestow my Agent and kill his Fabled Hero. Maybe this looks like a Phalanx Leader. Fabled Hero. If he plays Fabled Hero, I'm just gonna downfall it, assuming I don't draw the land, because I don't want to get clocked with this turn Fabled Hero, next turn Aqueous Form. Wavecrash Titan's kind of annoying, but it's not a huge deal like Fable Hero would be. So I'm just gonna jam my Agent of Fates for 3. He can enchant his Wavecrash Titan and attack if he wants to, but that alleviates pressure off of me since he like wouldn't be playing a creature, and Wavecrash Titan's not that big of a threat. So I can actually keep both of these for my Agent, and it actually might be good. Yeah, let's try keeping both of these. I need to find a white source. Okay, there we go. Perfect. That was a good turn. Night Howler only gives +1/+1 right now. Like, I think it's probably best for me if he has an Ordeal here. Voyage End. Okay. That's kind of strange. It seems like a waste of his turn if he doesn't do anything else. He put the card on top, though. So I guess that's something good coming up. He gets a Soldier. I don't really have any other play, just to play the Agent. That's why this deck plays a lot of lands, 25 I believe. Some lists play 26. It's because all your cards cost very expensive, so you want to play multiple things per turn. You have to pay through the nose to do it. Like next turn, all I can do is enchant Night Howler. I'm gonna enchant, use my mana a little more efficiently, and cast Baleful Eidolon. Make him kill his Pantheon, his Soldier. This leaves the Wavecrash Triton at 1 counter, so he has to enchant it 1 more time if he wants to. No, that doesn't even work because it's not a white creature. Or, I'm sorry, it's not a white heroic creature, which I'll add +1/+1 counters. So there's the Fabled Hero I was worried about. Oh, he's tapping out a white mana too, which is very good, because now I'll just downfall it without any repercussions. Like, I don't know if it's right for him to play the Battle Ice Hoplite there, because there's a chance I just don't try to kill his Fabled Hero. I need to play this whip at some point, just to try and get back some of the life I'm losing. Put this on top. But right now, I can't let this go through. Like, if he has an Aqua's form, it's going to be really very difficult for me to catch up. So I'm just going to go ahead and not worry about it. Because even if he plays Aqua's form and I Ray of Dissolution it and block it, it is double strike, so it'll kill my agent before my agent gets to do anything. He can still tap my guy. I think that's fine, because then he has to blow an enchantment on his Wavecrash Triton. Well, it's not. I guess it's not really a blow. If I draw a land next turn, oh no, it doesn't matter if I draw a land next turn yet. So he's just drawing 2 cards here. I think he's just cashing in his Wavecrash Triton for an extra 2 cards. If he draws like a Voyage's End, that's pretty good for him. Actually, it's not. I would still have my Baleful Eidolon in play. He's just trading here. Okay, I'm fine with this trade. Because my Night Howlers are very large right now. They're, what, 5/5s? So I'm fine just playing them for 3 mana, so I don't have to wait and bestow them. Like this turn, I'm gonna play a Night Howler, play Night Howler and cast my Whip. That gives me a very large window of time, I guess. Because if I bestow it, I wouldn't have enough mana, first off, and then secondly, he could just tap my guy with Wavecrash Triton. Next turn I can... If I draw a land, I can bring back my agent and enchant it. That's not that huge because he has a bunch of creatures in play, but it's something to do. It does make my Night Howler a little smaller. Actually, it doesn't really, because I'm about to kill one of his creatures. So he probably just kills the 1-drop here. It's the worst creature in his board. I mean, he might kill the Wavecrash Triton, but I doubt it. So I'm attacking with this and Baleful Eidolon. I get to attack with all my creatures, actually. I want to get in for lifelink damage. Probably should have started doing that last turn. Lifelink damage. And when my agent dies, my Night Howler comes into play. Or stays in play. This puts way more pressure on him than just like attacking with 1 creature and staying back. Something I've been trying to work on. Because usually I play way too defensively, and I don't think that's correct most of the time. Okay, there's my agent. Good job, agent. You performed well. I'll get these 6/6 Night Howlers and a backup Ray of Dissolution, which isn't actually that good right now. But it would have been timely if he got his like Fabled Hero online or whatever. And there's a Great Merchant. So I have nothing to bring back with Whip. So I'll cast Grey Merchant pre-combat, because he can kill my... Actually, it doesn't really matter. Because I can bring it back and play Grey Merchant, I think. No, I don't have enough mana, but... I don't want to show him the Grey Merchant if I don't have to pre-combat. I don't think it matters that much. He's just going to kill himself. Okay, that's fine. So, what did we learn that game? I didn't see really any of his board. He boarded in Wavecrash Triton, I guess. In which case, I really don't have any changes because it doesn't change my play. It actually might make his deck worse because it's such low power threat. Like, it's very good against the red-green deck because the red-green deck can easily erase this deck because it has gigantic monsters, but this deck is much slower. So I don't think he wants Wavecrash Triton in his deck against my like Agent of Fates, where his main goal game plan is just play like something evasive or like Cavalry Pegasus or whatnot, and just try to ignore my creatures completely. And I don't really have a board for this deck, so I guess I'm just submitting again. I don't really see a reason to change anything. The sand is not that good. I actually think I have to mulligan it. Agent of Fates is a good card, but 7 lands is probably not gonna do it for me. Sand's miserable, kinda, but it has 2 lands and an Agent of Fates, so I keep it on that note. If he plays an Ordeal, oh, he didn't. Is he missing his land drop here? Or he just like skip straight to combat? He just went straight to combat. So if I draw Freakus here this turn, that'd be pretty good, but I don't really deserve to. 2 white cards and no mana, or white mana. Nothing to bestow my agent with. This is definitely like one of the least forgiving decks to mulligan with, because it requires a lot of moving pieces. And it's a very slow. So if you're playing against an aggressive deck, you usually don't have that much time to stumble. Against red-green, it's sometimes fine, because you do have a lot of Hero's Downfalls and such in your deck that just wipe out their creatures. But against this deck in particular, you just like don't have the opportunity to stumble like this. So I'm pretty much forced to playing Agent and blocking this guy and hoping he doesn't have God's Willing, which is kind of unlikely because he has 4 cards in hand and missed his land drop last turn. So I guess I'll just run into this trick he has. I can't do very much about it. I just kind of have to hope he doesn't have the God's Willing. What is he playing here? Voyage's End? No, another Ordeal. And he has the God's Willing? Gosh. I think that's the death knell for me here. So go ahead and block this. Take 3. I don't have a creature. Yeah, I knew he had it, but I can't. Like, I kind of have to hope he doesn't have it. Like, I can't play as if he has it because I lose anyway. Like, if I play if he has God's Willing, what do I do? I just like don't block and take 9 damage or 8 damage, and then don't block next turn because I know he has God's Willing. Like, it's not gonna do anything for me. So I have no creatures. I'm dead. Good game. That's one thing I don't like about mono. This is why I've been playing the red-green deck a lot in this format, pretty much exclusively. Because one of the things I don't like about mono black is it's very, very slow, and if you stumble a little bit, you have a hard time catching up against any of the aggressive decks. But you know, it also has some pretty strong points. Like if you actually make it to late game, you pretty much can't lose because your cards are just so overbearing, especially Grey Merchant. Hopefully I'll get to show that in the next round.